crypto market and the midterm elections. So far this year, cryptocurrencies have had a rough start due to a never-ending list of challenges such as rising inflation and interest rates. Now, given the fact that we are a week away from US midterm elections, get ready for another layer of uncertainty to crypto investing in 2022. And let me tell you, market do not like uncertainty. Investors do not appreciate uncertainty. Now, political analysis is not my focus or subject here. Neither I am knowledgeable in this subject, but I'll create a brief backdrop here to better understand what future holds for crypto market post-midterm elections. Historically speaking, ruling party isn't in a strong position during midterm elections. Experts do not fully grasp why will the ruling president's party loses midterm seats. But let me tell you what usually happens during midterms. In the past, the president's party has done badly in midterm elections. For example, every midterm election since the 1930s, the president's party has lost seats in the House of Representatives. Seemingly, this happens because politicians tend to maybe overpromise and fail to deliver as promised once they get into the office. Analysts say that there is an 82% chance that Republicans will take control of the House of Representatives. In the Senate, a close chase is expected because the Democrats have a 52% chance of keeping control, while the Republicans have a 48% chance. Now, this is just the data and the opinions of others I'm quoting. I'm by no means an expert of this subject. But being a crypto trader, investor, and analyst, my prime concern is to understand how would the midterm elections affect the crypto market, because that's where I'm heavily invested into. Traditionally, stock markets usually goes up 18.6% in the 12 months after midterm elections, which is fairly good. Now, given a close correlation between crypto and stock markets lately, not always, we can expect that crypto market will see gains too. However, this may only be a theoretical possibility because the variables are very different from that of the recent past years than this year, such as inflation, recession, or fear of recession, or recession almost upon us sentiment, and of course, global economies still recovering from pandemic. Therefore, this cycle, in contrast to previous midterm years, has already been produced by a combination of factors, as I said, high inflation, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, and an ongoing pandemic. Now, because there are so many different factors influencing the market, traditional analysts wouldn't place much weightage in the past performance of the market during this midterm year. Now, this kind of situation would make it less likely that big changes would happen in the US, but that actually is a good news. Less drastic changes means that less instability is what we will experience, which should in return create a more stable environment. Mind you, as I said before, what investors want least is uncertainty. Investors don't like uncertainty. Ideally, they would like to know a very clear path ahead, that the decisions and the outcomes are certain, but that is far from what we have been experiencing so far. Now, referring back to the stock market, a divided Congress is actually considered a good thing, and it's what most people are expecting to happen this year. Nevertheless, theoretically speaking, if the stock and crypto correlation continues to be continued, we will see a better investor sentiment. An interesting thing to note is that when compared to their Democratic opponents, Republicans are often more supportive of cryptocurrencies. Now, that does not necessarily mean that the additional crypto positive legislation will be introduced at any time soon, given Republicans win the US midterm elections. The continuation of legislative legislation during the remainder of Biden's term is the most likely outcome. Given even if Republicans win both the House and the Senate, they won't get the White House. However, analysts are divided on the fact that midterm elections would actually have lesser impact on the markets. Rather, it's the inflation, the Federal Reserve's response towards the inflation, and the risk of a recession caused by inflation that will actually ascertain the direction of the market over the next few quarters. Now, zooming in, let's have a look at how Bitcoin and crypto market is expected to respond to midterm elections pretty soon. For the first time since October 2020, Bitcoin has been less volatile than the Nasdaq. Also, the link between Bitcoin and stocks is as weak as it has ever been. Recently, the strong correlation has been getting weaker, and experts in digital assets think that cryptocurrencies may be starting to move away from the stocks. Now, also because of the decoupling of Bitcoin did not rise as much last week as stocks did. But the relationship between Bitcoin and stocks is becoming more stable, which actually is a good thing, that could lead to a rise in Bitcoin if the stock market keeps pumping. If there is a positive relationship between Bitcoin and stocks, it should go up again. Moving on from elections to the Fed Reserve's policies that are basically very strongly influencing crypto market. Now, day by day, I am reading more and more about Fed considering to stay dovish by December. During their November meeting, Fed Reserve officials will probably talk about whether and how to announce plans to approve a smaller interest rate increase in December. The interest rates on their loans are most likely to go up by another 75 bips. In November, some experts report that Fed is split, and some members are worried about more rate hikes to fight inflation. Some policymakers, on the other hand, also want to stop raising interest rates in the first 3 months of the following year, which is 2023. They want to do this so they can see how their actions affect the economy and lessen the chance of a sudden drop. If we see what we're expecting, then that's a good news for crypto market because it will attract more investors. So what's the overall sentiment of crypto market post midterm? There is an increased confidence of crypto believers that crypto market is or at least on its way to become less dependent on traditional financial markets. I believe in this sentiment too, and my logic is pretty simple and straight to the point. Increasing distrust in current financial system, inflation, recession, money printing, economic reset. Who is responsible and who is answerable? No one, right? At least I don't see anyone answering. All I see is blame games, nominating scapegoats and plans and promises never delivered and most likely never to be delivered. So what choices do we have? Whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or not, the only choice we have is cryptocurrencies, not digital currencies, but cryptocurrencies, and of course, the king, Bitcoin. There is a probability of Bitcoin not following the S&P 500 into a crash after the midterm elections. Now, speaking of different markets, there is a probability of Bitcoin not following the stocks or S&P 500 into a crash after the midterm elections. A very compelling reason is that daily correlation coefficient between Bitcoin and the stocks as S&P 500 fell to 0.08 on 9th of October, which is the lowest level in 4 months. At some point, the market will be controlled by those in the community who have long-term faith in Bitcoin and are very unlikely to sell, and by the growing number of people around the world who use Bitcoin for business. Let me back up my claims with some facts. On 17th of October, a new record was set for the number of unique addresses that held at least one Bitcoin. This was the opposite of what happened during the bear market of 2018. Now, this suggests that investors have been buying Bitcoin when the prices were really dropping. Looking more into one of my favorites, the on-chain data suggests that the holders are optimistic that the market will bounce back, which would keep the market's fundamentals relatively healthy. Not to forget, if I have to point towards one very strong factor controlling or driving the crypto market, it is the investor sentiment. What are my concluding thoughts? Bitcoin and crypto market are getting stronger by the day. Nothing had changed in this market except for the prices, the sentiment, the development, the investment, the hard work of professionals like journalists, analysts, influencers, creators, coders, marketeers, the investors. Trust me, nothing had changed. Given the backdrop of midterm elections, according to the polls conducted by the Crypto Council for Innovation, 84% of the people polled said that a politician's stance on the cryptocurrency would influence their vote, but the vast majority said that it would not really matter in short term. I understand Web3 and digital assets may still be too young to have a big impact on the upcoming elections, but the fact that their use is growing suggests that they could become very important in the very near future. Needless to say, the party that helps the growth of a decentralized internet will benefit from this. In my opinion, the impact midterm elections would leave on crypto market is irrelevant. What I want you to focus on, and what actually I am focusing on, is the sentiment of the investors and general public that will be exposed and flourished post midterm elections. As I always say, change will happen with or without you. Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts on my content. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and do share and like this video.